Hi, I'm Kylie McDonough-Scott.
And I'm Rebecca Tolla Stevenson.
We're two friends
and realtors in Kingston, Jamaica.
Join us on the Island Realtors podcast as we talk about all things real estate in our island paradise.
Welcome to another episode of the Island Realtors podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Tolla Stevenson.
And I'm Kylie McDonough-Scott.
On today's episode, we would like to put the spotlight on the National Housing Trust. The National Housing Trust was established in 1976. Its mission is to increase the stock of available housing in Jamaica and, most importantly, to provide loans to its contributors for the purchase of land, housing, and also home repairs. I would like to introduce the Manager of Corporate and Public Affairs at the National Housing Trust, Mr. Dwayne Berbick.
Thanks for joining us.
Mr. Berbick has been with the NHT for 7 years, and so we are confident he can help answer all your burning questions. Welcome, Mr. Berbick.
Thank you.
I must apologize. We don't have any breakfast. We're not cooking any breakfast.
Right.
So that's
story.
That's an inside joke. When we were trying to find out who to interview from the National Housing Trust, Becca went on YouTube and she saw this great show with Mr. Berbick being interviewed by somebody, but the person actually cooked him breakfast.
Yeah, we don't have any breakfast here or lunch or dinner. Just our smiling faces through our very state-of-the-art shields. I must say, these are quite fabulous.
The warmth is good enough.
Oh, there we
Thanks
go.
for joining
I'm
us.
not greedy that I will say no because you don't have food.
Thank you for joining us. So, Mr. Berbick, if you were to sum up the National Housing Trust in a sentence, is it just a savings plan for individuals?
Yes, I would like to think that that's one of the easiest ways to capture it. The National Housing Trust is one of those statutory obligations that individuals, once you're working in Jamaica, you're required to make. But unlike other tax types, we don't like to call it a tax any at all because that's not what it is.
So
it's a nice savings tool.
So if you are working in Jamaica, a portion of your paycheck comes out and goes towards contributing to the National Housing Trust. And if you are somebody that you are a business owner or whatever, and you pay taxes, you also contribute to the National Housing Trust.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the employees portion of it is refundable.
Okay.
So after 7 years, we hold it in trust for 7 years, and in the 8th year, it becomes refundable to the contributor at an interest rate of 2% per annum, actually. And that's where the savings part comes in. And at 2% per annum, I know persons might think, that don't sound like a lot.
It adds up.
Actually is. It's more than what you will get at some commercial banks on a
Every
basis.
mickle makes a muckle, as we say here in Jamaica.
One cocoa
That's
full
true.
of basket. Right.
So true.
So if you are living overseas and you're Jamaican or a Jamaican citizen and stuff like that, can you contribute to the National Housing Trust?
Yes, you can. Once you're of Jamaican heritage, you don't have to be a what do we call them? A first generation Jamaican. It could be a second or third. As long as you're a member of the Jamaican diaspora, you can contribute to the NHT. And actually, we encourage a lot of our Jamaicans living abroad to do that as well, because many times they go away for the economic opportunities.
Of course.
That being abroad presents. But somewhere in the back of their mind, there's always a plan.
I want to
come
come
back
home. So this is a good savings plan
Good
of,
savings plan until you're ready,
just
yes.
putting it away and not thinking about it for 20 years or whatever.
Exactly.
Can you let us know what are the amounts that people are eligible for at the National Housing Trust?
Okay, so the NHT has a general loan limit of $6.5 million per contributor.
Okay.
So every contributor can get $6.5 million from the NHT towards the purchase of a home. If you're buying land and you want to do construction after, we actually allow you to break out that 6.5, where you can get a portion up to 2.5 that goes towards the purchase of the land, and the remaining 4 million that can assist with construction. And again, two persons can always co-apply and double that amount.
So husband and wife, or
Husband and
me
wife.
and you?
Me and you, as long as we do our research, and I know that Kyle's not going to stab me in the back as soon as her name gets on the title. But yes, any
that's
two
what I
individuals.
want
Any two individuals
That's
can
what I wanted to
co-apply.
talk about is title, okay? Because I get this question a lot of the time. For persons who have listed their children on the title of their home, will that affect the child accessing their NHT benefit later in life?
No, not children any at all, because we understand that it's a part of estate planning. No one wants to die and wonder, who's going to get my property when I die? Are they going to fight over it? I want to ensure that, in the event of death, my affairs are in order. So we understand that parents put their children's names on titles for estate planning purposes. And so once you're able to show that that's the objective and that's the reasoning, then it doesn't impact the
So you
the
just
child
write a
getting
letter or
recognition.
something just explaining that I was
That-
12.
that's-
I didn't know about this purchase.
Exactly.
Right.
I have a question. A friend of mine, I was telling him that I was coming on this show today, and he had a question, and he said I must ask. So, is the NHT benefit only eligible for somebody who's a first-time purchaser?
No.
Whoa!
What was that?
That was
That's
a bird.
nice bird. I hope he's
It's a
okay.
bird. It's a plane.
Oh my God, I hope it's all right. Sorry.
I'll start again.
Yes.
I'll start with that question again. Okay. So, Mr. Berbick, a friend of mine had a question for you that he's requested that I ask. Is it that the NHT benefit is only eligible for a first-time purchaser?
We have a bias towards the first-time purchaser as it relates to the full suite of NHT benefits. Because when we look at the housing demand in Jamaica, there are so many Jamaicans who are not yet homeowners, and so we have a bias towards them.
Okay.
But for the person who is already a homeowner, they can access their NHT benefits to make home improvement
Okay.
projects around the home. So whether it's from interior, you just want to take out the cupboards, you want to move
Okay, that's good to know.
granite to probably marble countertops.
If you want to step up your game.
Yes, you want to move from the plain old tub to a nice jacuzzi. You want to do some kind of home improvement project. Perhaps you want to expand as well. You can use your NHT benefit to assist with that. I must say though, in those instances, you don't get the full 6.5 million because
Yeah.
as
Like
an
how much
initial
you get?
to be
buyer,
Like how
reasonable.
much? Like how much?
like 2.5. I think
Okay.
that's still good enough.
Okay,
You can make
okay,
a
no problem.
significant
No
improvement to
problem.
your space with that amount.
So this one I have to ask too. Can you what age are your NHT benefits eligible until?
Okay. Typically, once you're between the ages of 18 and 65, you must be contributing to the NHT.
Okay.
But just to remind our listeners as well, remember, our viewers, it's a loan you're getting. So
You have to live long enough to pay
you
it
have
back.
to live long.
You know, let's
put
just
it a
say
little
it.
bit more
I
diplomatic.
know. I was like,
we're not really
sorry.
diplomatic on this show.
No, I was just like, I'm just looking at his face and I'm
Yes.
like, that's what he wants to say.
Right.
I just knew
But
it.
we realize though, Kylie, that persons are working longer and are living
It's true.
longer. So recently we would have adjusted our the age limit for accessing a benefit from the NHT from 65 to age 70.
Yeah, that makes sense because
that's generous.
65, I mean, nobody retires really at 65 anymore.
Persons are working longer
Yeah,
and living
yeah.
longer. But the
Okay.
caveat is always that we say to persons, the sooner you start, the better. You have
Yeah.
40 years to repay. So the person who starts at age 30 has a longer time to repay, and a longer repayment period translates into smaller monthly payments
Exactly.
Yeah.
than the person who's trying to buy at 50 and you're like, oh no, I only have 20 years left. So naturally your monthly payment is going to be a little bit higher. So we encourage persons start quick.
So if I don't live here and I've been contributing to the NHD and I haven't found something that I want to purchase or whatever. Could I give my NHT benefit to my mom or my sister?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
Okay, that's
Yes,
good
you
to
can.
know. You hear that, guys?
And I have a question. Can somebody put their NHT benefits in their will? Can they will them? Can they be like, I mean, it's kind of like, well, you said it was a savings plan. So I'm
Yes.
just wondering if it's something you can give away
All right, so let me answer you.
after you die.
Let me break down that death question in two ways.
Okay.
So there
Break
are
it down.
two general benefits that individuals can get from the NHG. So there's a refund of your contributions that you'd have made over the years, and there's also the actual loan that you can get. The loan you can't will, because of course the person who is borrowing has to have a legal personality and has an obligation to make
fulfill
that
it. Yeah.
loan repayment, even if we're co-applying and I'm saying it's not really for me, it's for Rebecca, but I'm co-signing on that loan, and a dead man can't sign.
Yes.
So no, not that part of it.
Sorry.
But the refunds, the savings that you would have made, the contributions that you would have made to the NHD over the years, the NHD actually allows you to will that part of it. And if you weren't that cautious with your estate planning and you died, you didn't leave a will, whoever is deemed by the courts of being the person
beneficiary,
who has inherited the beneficiary of your estate, that individual can apply for a total refund of all the contributions that you would have made
That's good
over
to
the
know.
years. So your money is safe
My other question.
in life and death. In life and death.
My other question, okay, is there a limit to the number of persons who can borrow for one property? Okay, and I get calls like this all the time. Like they go, oh, I want to buy that piece of land that I see as I'm joining up with 4 other people. I'm like, can that work? I mean, is there a limit to, can 6 people buy one property? Like if the property is 32.5, I worked it out. And they get 6.5, right? I did some math.
Sounds
and they
like you
get
have some plans
6.5 each, right? 6
Yes.
people. Can 6 people appear on the title and you have 6 NHT loans on one title? Or is it like max 2?
Okay, so if it is an NHT mortgage only, that means you're getting all the funding from the NHT. Then it's a maximum of 2.
Oh.
But the NHT has what we call joint finance mortgage program with our other financial institutions, which simply means you get the 6.5 that you will get from the NHT, and you can get additional amounts beyond that 6.5 from your mortgage institution. And then it would be up to the mortgage institution thereafter how many persons that they would
Allowed to purchase.
And the different mortgage institutions have different policies on that?
Yes, they do. They vary, but I'm not sure where all of them stand.
Okay, because
they have different levels of risk.
I've listed property for sale that has had 7 people on the title.
Yes, I'll tell you.
And I'm like, ooh.
I'll tell you though, the NHT is aware of that. That given the cost of real estate, the cost of construction, more than 2 persons from time to time may
Join
need
together,
to
yeah.
join together. So we developed a nice little program we call our cluster program.
Oh.
So Kylie, Rebecca, and we see this nice piece of land. It costs $8 million. It's too much for any one of us to
take on.
purchase.
Okay.
But we can pool our NHD benefits. Your 6.5, your 6.5, my 6.5.
Or for land. Or for land.
19.5.
Yeah.
And we can buy that land, subdivide it, so you would get your.
Oh, I get my
title.
piece.
Yes.
You get your piece.
Exactly.
So when time comes, there's no argument.
No argument. And we can do our construction either together, where we can hire one architect, one contractor, one set of service provider, or
do it separately.
Kylie wants her nice, 3-bedroom. I only want a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
Rebecca wants
Right.
5. So we have different plans.
Probably better that
So
way.
we can go our separate ways
That
after
makes
that.
sense.
So
and
I would
use
interject
the
there
benefit for
that it's very important when you contact your realtor about a property, if you're thinking of doing this cluster program, as we call it, that you find out if the land can be subdivided,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
that's
key?
very
Because
important.
Very key.
sometimes there,
restrictions and covenants on the property.
and it may not be able
Yes.
to be subdivided. So you might have that as an idea in your head to say, yes, we'll each get a quarter acre, and then it can't happen. So you need to check that first.
Yes, definitely. Research.
So walk our viewers and listeners through the loan process. Please tell me it's not in a drag out 10,000 JPs need to sign something. I need to get my whole life savings on paper from the bank. Please,
It's a few pieces of documentation.
Is it like 1,000 pieces of paper?
It's not 1,000.
Okay, is it
but-
500?
No, less. Much less. But I must underscore.
Guys,
I
it's
say
like 300.
It's like
probably 100.
it's a lot of paper. It's a lot of paper. We
It's
like
a lot
paper.
of paper because it's not just an economic decision; it's a legal decision as
True,
well.
true,
and
true,
you have
true.
to ensure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are
And of
crossed.
course, you guys have to safeguard yourselves and make sure that the people that are coming are going to be
Be
creditworthy.
able
Yeah.
to
Yeah. I get it,
actually service the loan, which takes me to my next question. Let's talk about private treaty.
All right. I
Okay.
come to private treaty in a bit, but Kylie asked me to walk her a little through the
Okay, the
Yes,
loan process.
yes.
Right.
Ahead.
So first, you have to establish affordability.
Mhm.
You have to know how much you can afford. So, pay slips,
Mhm.
the last three. We want to ensure that, as you said, Kylie, you're in a position to service your mortgage. So we want to see your last three pay slips. We want to see your proper identification. We have to establish that Dwayne Berbick is Dwayne Berbick.
Mhm. Of course.
Not somebody else posing as
Mhm.
Dwayne Berbick. And with all transactions in Jamaica, we need your NIS. So first we have that pre-approval process.
And tell them what the NIS is.
The NIS and TRN. The NIS you get from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. It's that little pink card that we don't often pay any attention to.
Yeah, it's National
Yes, we
Insurance
have it all
Scheme.
in a file somewhere.
It stands for National Insurance Scheme.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's a very important document, and your TRN that you get from Tax Administration Jamaica as well, which is used
relatively
for
easy
all
to get to.
transactions
Yeah.
in Jamaica.
Right.
So we get those first, and we establish your eligibility, and that's the pre-approval process. Thereafter, depending on what you're buying or building, if you're building, we want to see the registered title for the land you want to build on. And that title doesn't have to be in your name. It could be Rebecca's land. But Rebecca is giving you permission to build on it, and that's fine with us. We just want Rebecca to put it in writing.
To say that it's not no bandula
And she
business.
didn't stick a gun to my head and ask me to do this. We just want to establish that first. And for if you're buying, we want to see your basic sale agreement.
Yes,
We
of
want
course.
to see the terms of the sale. We want your valuation report. We have to ensure that what you're investing in with contributors' money is value for money. And we want to see the surveyor's ID report so we know the boundaries, so you're not
Building illegally or building on someone else's land.
Exactly.
And, viewers, listeners, the valuation and the survey costs money, just so you know. They're not free, but so just prepare for that as well as an expense when you're going through this whole process.
Yes, and on that point, Kylie, your NHD contributions actually helps to offset some of those costs.
Okay.
Savings again.
There you go.
So you know sometimes persons look at, okay, that property costs X amount. And they're working so hard and saving towards that amount, and they get the financing, and then they start the process and they go, oh,
The closing costs.
surveyor's ID,
Mhm.
closing costs, valuation report.
Yep.
NHD contributions can actually assist with offsetting those. So even though we refund a year at a time, if you're buying a property, we will make more than 1 year, up to 6 years available to you to assist in terms of offsetting those costs. So once you get all that paperwork in, we have same-day loan approval.
What?
Same-day loan approval. Once
What?
everything is in order,
We're going to
stamp
hold
it.
you to that, We're
We'll
going to hold you
stamp
to
it.
it.
And I'm assuming you guys, I have a good website, right?
Yes, we
With
do.
all of this information out
Yes.
there.
But
So
to
you-
manage expectations, remember doesn't stop at loan approval. We have to send your property to be registered,
Yes.
to be stamped
Of
at
course.
the stamp office and all of that. And that's what sometimes gets people a little frustrated.
90 days at least.
90 to 120 days.
Oh yes, that is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Although I must say they've been really good recently. I haven't had 120 days in a
No.
very long time.
We've had a very good relationship now with the titles office and the stamp office, where I'm proud to say the MHD has its own little window where we can where we can have a kind of expedited service as it relates to some.
I'd like to see that go down to 60 days in my lifetime.
That would be good.
You know.
30 would be ideal.
Oh my God, 30 is like a dream.
I would touched on it earlier, but I just really want to circle back to this point. You know, you're talking about people and being able to service the loan.
Yes.
Sadly, things happen. You know, people lose their jobs, what have you, and they can't make their payments. Okay, so their property is put into a private treaty, and it's being sold back by the NHD. Can you explain, first of all, what private treaty is to our viewers and listeners that don't know?
So private treaty is where a mortgager has defaulted on the loan. They're no longer able to service that loan, and the mortgage institution has to take some steps to recover the security and the investment that they've made in that property. Where the NHD, and I must say most other mortgage institutions are concerned, it's always a last resort. It's always
It
a
really
last
is.
resort.
We don't do it that much. We try not to do that much in
so
Jamaica.
we really love, if your circumstances have changed, you need to let your mortgage institution know.
Early.
Early.
We
People
have a
just-
tendency in Jamaica
Oh my
that we think
goodness.
it's
They
somewhat,
wait until
we're
the last
embarrassed.
I know. I don't
And you
know
call you
why.
and you say, hey, you've missed a couple of payments.
Just
what is happening?
Keep
Come
it
talk
real,
to me.
guys.
Yes, keep
it
Just
real.
keep it real.
I don't want nobody to know that I owe money. No, there's no shame in it. Come and let us know.
It's true.
because
Don't
there
wait
are
until the
programs
last
to
You will
assist.
work with it.
Yes, we can freeze the
But
payments.
they,
up
you
to
know,
2
don't let
years.
it get to crisis level.
You can get a moratorium of
Did you hear that? Up to 2 years. Wow, that's
Okay.
good.
That's enough time for you, I believe. We hope to
To
get
recover.
Well, if you can't get your act together after 2 years, then I'm
Yes.
sorry.
So we end up at private treaty
Yeah.
where we have to sell the property when all options have failed.
And how can somebody acquire or bid or acquire a private treaty property?
Okay, so the individual has defaulted on the mortgage. First, we send it to public auction, and we list those units that are available via auction in the paper.
You always see them in the
Always see
newspaper.
them in the
Always.
newspaper. And you can go to the auction and bid on it.
I've always wanted to go to one. I've never been.
Me
Have you
too.
been?
No, never.
I just want the experience.
I
Yeah.
know.
I
I
wonder if it's
know.
like on TV where they go.
Going
I
on.
think
Is it
Exactly.
really like that?
To the lady in blue for 5 minutes. I don't know. But in my head, that's how it looks. And I'm going to be very disappointed if that's not how it goes.
I'm pretty sure it won't look like that. But anyway, so if a bid is successful, what, you have to write a check? You have to, how does it work?
There's a percentage that, and they'll tell you in making the application for private treaty, that there is a percentage that you're expected to have on hand if your bid is successful, just to secure it so we can move to the next stage of, transferring the property and all of that. And you would know there's some costs associated with transfer and registration and all of that. So the vendor needs to be in a position to cover those costs. And the vendor would prefer most times to use your money to cover those costs, just in case you change your mind down the road and go, I don't like it anymore. I'm gone. Then the vendor's money is up in flames. So
it goes to auction first, and then if nobody takes it up at auction,
then what
that
happens?
actually happens.
Actually, yes. Then it goes to private treaty.
Then it goes to private treaty.
Okay, so it's auction first, then private treaty.
Yes.
Wow.
And the last resort, guys, please don't let your mortgage institution have to resort to that. Please.
To private treaty.
To private treaty or auction. Communicate
Wow.
with them if you're having any difficulty, especially now during COVID.
Of course.
Yes.
And last private treaty, but can you get an NHT loan to buy a private treaty property? Don't stone me for saying it, for asking. People are gonna ask.
I'm not going to stone you because the answer is yes.
What?
Yes, you can.
So you're just like, okay, this person over here, they were not so great, but we're gonna roll the dice on you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's a different
Wow.
individual. Different. Of course, we will have to do our background checks
Of course.
or determine your affordability.
Is it
as
more
well.
rigorous when it's private treaty, or is it just the same
No,
same
because
procedure?
it doesn't matter. We
Okay.
won't use one person's experience to judge someone else. It's
Okay.
an opportunity. Unfortunately, it's a loss for someone.
Mhm.
But given the demand for housing in Jamaica, it represents an opportunity for someone else. And generally, those units are sold a little cheaper because you're more so trying to recover your
Yeah.
investment rather than the
Mhm.
true value of the
Yeah.
property. So it usually is an opportunity for someone else, and we wouldn't want to deny anyone of that opportunity.
Oh,
So
very,
I know
very
you
eloquently
have
put.
I've been to your offices. They are down in New Kingston, right? They're
Yes,
still
that's
there.
our main office.
That's your main office. But do you have branches island-wide?
Island-wide. We have
Okay.
a presence in every parish.
Okay.
Every parish.
In every parish, you can find an NHD office. Beyond that, we have marketing officers who are on the ground in every parish as well, who do that kind of hand-holding. You're not quite sure now is the right time. You're not quite sure how this process works, but you don't want to go into an office. They're available, and they'll guide you through the process and get you from interest to sale.
So what if you are living abroad and you are contributing, and your auntie has identified a piece of land for you that you said you're going to buy? Can you do that transaction from England,
Yes, you
or
can.
do you have to come to Jamaica?
It was.
You can. do it
How you
from
pick on
England.
England?
It's
I don't know. I really want to go to England. Actually, I just want to get on a plane and go anywhere.
That's right. But yes, you can do that transaction from anywhere. Of course, as you know, it's paperwork. It involves some kind of signing at a point. And if you don't have the facilities, we'll do the loan interview via phone, via Zoom, via...
It's a new world.
Really?
It's a
Zoom.
new world.
You hear
We
that?
we-
People interview via Zoom with the NHT.
Yes.
Amazing.
We want those documents, however, notarized
Of course.
by a
A
notary
notary
public
public.
in whatever jurisdiction you're
Right.
residing. And if you like, you can appoint someone in Jamaica via a power of attorney
To
come in
represent
and
you for the sale,
represent
right?
you and to do the transaction on
Wow.
your behalf. So there are different arrangements.
So
that we
there's
can
ways you work
Wherever
with
you are in the
people.
And when
Wow.
it comes to mortgage payment as well, you don't have to send your money to someone in Jamaica and hope and
That
wish
they're gonna
that they're going
pray
to
that they're going to
pay
pay
for you. No, you can do it yourself.
and just transfer to
via
the NHT online.
Yes, you
Okay.
can use your Visa debit,
Wow.
your credit card,
Wow.
and make your own mortgage payments.
Very
We have a
good.
lovely mobile app that facilitates that, and you can see the payments coming in, so you can monitor and track your own.
That is very
mortgage
impressive.
process.
The NHT have come a long way, right?
And we're still working on
And you're
going even
still
further.
working.
Good. Wow. I mean, I know I sell real estate every single day, and I should know the answer to all these questions, but
Well,
I really didn't. And I just want to thank you because this has just been so informative. You've given us so much valuable information, and I hope our listeners and our viewers out there really got these bites and are
Right.
taking it all in, because now you can figure out how to get your NHT loan and make it work for you.
Definitely, and thanks very much for having me. I like these opportunities. 'Cause
Oh,
I think research is important. So
Yes.
many times we think it can't be done,
right.
but if we ask the right questions,
Yeah.
and ask the right questions of the right people, then we end up with these nuggets that
Love
can
you.
guide us along
People
the
can-
process.
Oh, but hold on before we go, before we this thing. Gosh.
Yes. I was gonna say.
I'm a thing to myself. Before we go, we have to talk about, we have this thing called our property of the
Right.
week, where Rebecca and I
Right.
give a little dish on what kind of
Right.
properties we have selling and what's happening in the market. So what's your property
So
of the
my
week?
property of the week is perfect, I think. Mr. Berbick can tell me if it is, for an NHT buyer, okay? It is land. So if you're looking for a piece of land that you can join together with other contributors to the NHT, maybe in your family or building or subdividing the land, right? I have a great option. I have 9.5 acres of land in Sligoville, St. Catherine. It's about 10 minutes from Rockhall Square. And they're asking $8,875,000. It's negotiable. So give me a call on that one.
And what kind of land is it?
It's just
buildable?
It's buildable land.
Okay.
I mean, it's a big piece, but it's near residential. It's not, it's definitely for houses, for housing.
Well, unfortunately, mine is a little more expensive. I was trying to think of in my inventory what I have right now, but because it's January, I'm just building back all of my listings. So I got a new listing. It is at Ocean Ridge, which is in St. Mary. It's a beautiful piece of land. It's 2 acres. It overlooks, you look right out at the sea. It's
Sounds
gorgeous.
expensive.
Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, so you may need to join up with your auntie, cousin, sister, Mr. Berbick, me and Rebecca to buy it. But it is listed at $58.5 million. So it's a little bit more expensive, but this is for, maybe I think this is for like a returning resident, a dream home. This is what you've been working so hard for all these years, and you want to come home and build something and look out at the sea that you missed out on for so many years.
Sounds lovely.
Yes.
Sounds beautiful.
So that's it. So thank you again. And also, Mr. Berbick, tell us, what is your website so that everybody can log on?
Our website is www.nht.gov.jm, and we're on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, right, Rebecca?
Well, make sure you link up Island Realtors on some of these platforms. We'd be very grateful.
Yes, we would be very grateful. Thank you again for joining us, Mr. Berbick.
Thank you. And then also check out Instagram. You can follow the Island Realtors page, or you can follow myself or Rebecca individually. My handle is Kylie the Realtor.
Mine is Rebecca.sells real estate, and the Island Realtors podcast handle is Island Realtors Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you, and
bye.
Stay safe.